have everybody's attention? Hi, my name's Cindy Pfeiffer, and this is Hurricane Preparedness presentation this evening. And we also have Officer Tran here that is going to do a presentation on scam, right? Security.
Well, I'm gonna just go with the hurricane preparedness for today.
Okay.
On the security aspect of it, of your home, and what to expect in the shelter, and stuff like that.
Okay. Great.
I can definitely talk louder for you.
All right. And this is Summer from the Largo Fire Rescue.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me okay if I talk at this level? Okay,
Yes.
cool. All right, good evening. I'm Summer Marr. I'm the public educator with Largo Fire Rescue. So I teach life safety, injury prevention, of all different safety topics to all of our residents here in Largo. I see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a long time, so it's really nice to be back in person and educating again face to face. So tonight we're going to talk about hurricane preparedness, and as we all know, we are in the middle of hurricane season. Not that far into it though, and we've already had a storm. We just had, which storm tried to come through? Elsa.
Let it go.
So, it's not typical that we see a storm that early, and I ironically had to cancel 2 hurricane presentations during that time because of a hurricane. So you just never know. I think the last time we had a storm hit that early was back in 2005. So storms can hit, even before season starts and even after. But typically the peak season is August, September, October. That's when you really start to see those tropics get pretty active. So there's a lot of information for hurricane prep, so I'm gonna try to keep it as simple as I can and just give you the most important info. But everything that you need and everything I talk about is going to be in your hurricane guide, which is in your kit today. So if you see something that looks like a newspaper, that's your hurricane guide. It's got phone numbers, everything I talk about. I base my presentations off of this guide. If for some reason you don't have one, let me know. But I know I also gave Cindy some extra ones too, so there's plenty for residents in the park. So with this guide, it's kind of your step-by-step. It's a guide to hurricane safety. It's going to let you know what you need to do before, during, and after the storm. So the first thing that we want residents to do, want you all to do to prepare, is to know your risk. So I don't know if you can all see these. I used these for a drive-through hurricane event the other day, so I thought I'd bring them in. And the first thing you want to know is your evacuation zone. So living in a manufactured home community, you are all in what they would call Zone A, or they call it manufactured home zone, which means that you are required to evacuate in the event of a significant storm. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's a storm that comes through that our experts at Pinellas County Emergency Management are going to determine is going to be strong enough to where they cause a mandatory order. So with Elsa, we didn't have a mandatory evacuation. They opened up a few shelters, but it was just voluntary if people wanted to go there, if they didn't feel comfortable, being at home. But no one in Pinellas County was required to evacuate. If you were here for Irma, we did have a mandatory evacuation. We evacuated zones A and B. So just know your risk is if there's a storm coming this way, if it's a hurricane and they find that it's going to be strong enough or we need to have those orders, this community will be one of the first ones that will be ordered to evacuate. So you can just say that you're in zone A is easy enough. Because they base the zones off of the storm surge. But if the winds are high enough to cause storm surge that will threaten our areas, then the winds will be high enough to cause significant damage to manufactured homes, which is why they ask them all to evacuate. The storm surge and evacuation guidelines are on that first page if you want to look further and see the different types of zones, A through E, and it tells you what the potential of storm surge could be. That doesn't mean that here at Paradise Island, you're going to be getting storm surge. It just means you're in a manufactured home community, so you have to go because the winds would be high enough to cause it in other areas. So knowing your zone is the first step. So now that you all know that, you probably already knew that you had to evacuate. The next step is going to be to know your evacuation options, all right? Because in the event of a storm, if it's on its way, you don't want to be wondering where to go. You want to have your plan. So you want to have a plan put in place with a couple of different choices. You want to either, A, which is the best plan, would be to stay with friends or family in a non-evacuation zone. You could also stay in a hotel in a non-evacuation zone. Or your last resort option is to stay in a public shelter. We say that as a last resort because it's not comfortable, and we think of it more as a life raft and not a cruise ship, okay? It's going to be very crowded, and it is there if you need it, but we'd like if you had other options before that. So staying with friends or family, if you have someone that you know in this area, talk to them about what their evacuation zone is. If they don't live in an evacuation zone, or maybe they live in a zone that's higher, like a D or an E, that might not get asked to evacuate, then you could stay with them and they could be a host home. So, start making some friends now that live in non-evacuation zones, and you could stay with them. The other option is the hotel in a non-evacuation zone. So that's important, the non-evac zone, because we had residents who went to hotels during Irma, and they went to hotels that were in Zone B, and then we evacuated Zone B. So they had to leave their hotel and try to scramble to find new places to stay. So there should be a list in the kit, and I apologize, some of the papers might be a little wrinkled. We had these for an event previously, and in transport they might have gotten a little wrinkled. But there should be a list of hotels in non-evacuation zones. I also gave that list to Cindy, and she's going to put it on your Facebook page, and I'm sure we could put it in other areas. And that's just a helpful list of numbers for you to call. If you see that a storm is, looks like it's on its way here, I would make those reservations well ahead of time. Talk to them about their cancellation policy. You could always cancel if you don't need to go, but it's better to have that ready because they will book quickly. And talk to them about their pet policy if you have pets, and just have those plans put in place. Your last option is to stay at a shelter, and we have 3 different types of shelters here in Pinellas County, and our shelters open up depending on the storm. So we might not open one shelter, but we could open the other at a different storm. So you'll get the information on which shelters are open by staying close to your news channels and signing up for Alert Pinellas, which is an emergency notification system we'll talk about in a little bit. So you have general shelters. Those are for people that don't have pets and for people that don't have special needs like medical monitoring or are electric dependent. So lots of different shelters located all around the area. And Largo High School we use as a shelter for Irma. And during Irma, was Largo a special needs or just a general shelter? General shelter. So in your guide, it talks about all the different shelters we have, and there will be a little symbol on it that'll show whether it's special needs or pet friendly. And if it doesn't have those symbols, then it's just a general shelter. So your second type of shelter is your pet friendly shelter. And that's if you have pets. So generally cats or dogs is what they allow. And you want to have your pet prepared just as you would bring your own supplies too. So have them in their crate, their kennel, and have food for them and their rabies and vaccination records. You don't have to register your pets. That's not required. But if you have that info with you when you arrive, it's going to be very helpful for the process of getting in and getting in with your pet. So pet-friendly shelters are an option. Your third option is a special needs shelter. And that type of shelter, we said, was basic medical monitoring. Say you need refrigeration for medications, or maybe you just aren't moving around as well as you used to and you're not comfortable. You need, being by yourself, you need some extra medical care, just basic though. Or you have you require electricity for your, say, a CPAP machine, right? So life support electric equipment. That's going to be a special needs shelter. There is medical staff on site at those shelters. The key to remember with that shelter is that you do have to register ahead of time. So there is a whole page in your guide that talks about special needs shelters, and it has the phone number. I will go ahead and tell you the phone number now in case you're writing things down. The number to call to register for special needs is 727-464-3800. And again, that's, if you're going to need some extra assistance, maybe for people that live by themselves and they need just some extra medical monitoring during the storm, right? That's what type of shelter that's going to be for. And it also, it's also here. Sorry, I'll say the number again. Okay, special needs. So it's 727-464-3800. And if you're not sure, maybe you think you might need to go to that type of shelter, but you're not sure, you could always call and talk them through. It's a questionnaire that they'll ask you. Your medical history, what are your conditions? Are you ambulatory? Can you walk? Can you not walk? Do you have a wheelchair? So if you've got neighbors in this community that you think might qualify and need that type of shelter, let them know and you can grab a kit for them, because we also provide transportation assistance. So that's considered in the special needs, and we'll take you to the general shelter too. So just because you sign up on the special needs for transportation, it doesn't mean you have to go to the special needs shelter. You could just go to a general shelter, but maybe you don't have a vehicle to take you there. We can assist with that, but you'll still need to call the same number. So transportation assistance, that same phone number, same as if you're going to a special needs shelter. Now here's where it gets kind of tricky. If you have a pet, do you allow pets in this community? Yeah. Okay. All right, so if you have a pet and you're going to a special needs shelter, your pet will not be staying at that same shelter. Animal Services will come take your pet for you and take care of it at another shelter. So when you register for special needs, they will ask you, do you have a pet? And if you do, you'll let them know, and then they'll take care of the process of contacting Animal Services. You'll take your pet with you, but then they'll take care of it until after the storm. It's just something with the way that they've designed the shelters. They don't have special needs and pets in the same place. So I know that's a lot of info on shelters, but there's lots of great pages in there that talk about the different types of shelters. And so once you have your plan of where you're going to go, then you want to make sure you have the right supplies. Yes?
What if you have a medical service dog?
A medical service dog?
That does a service.
Yeah, so yes, they will allow the service dogs into the shelters. Yeah, so if you're at a general shelter and you have a medical service dog, they will allow those into shelters. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My first choice would be a hotel, but
yeah,
I have the family around.
Right, and depending on a hotel's policy, but they should also, let the medical service dogs come in as well. And I should say on the hotel list which ones are pet friendly.
It does.
But I would still call just in case, just to make sure you have the background info on the hotel. So now you're thinking about your supplies, right? So you have to evacuate, and maybe you're going to go to a shelter, or maybe you're going to go to a friend's house. What do you bring? So shelters are going to provide you with food. It's cafeteria food. You've been into shelters before, right? Okay, so he can talk a little bit later, maybe more detail about the kind of food they serve there, but it's cafeteria style food. So bring food that, any special dietary foods that you need, any snacks that you enjoy, pack those with you. If you're going, to a friend or a family's house, you want to have enough food for up to 2 weeks, food and water. They say, 2 weeks worth. And the reason why is because post-storm, a lot of times delivery trucks might not be able to get access to these areas, and grocery stores might be destroyed. They might not be able to open up, and so they say a 2 weeks worth now. They used to say 3 to 4 days. Now emergency management recommends 2 weeks supply of food. And again, that's worst case scenario, but we try to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Flashlights, having batteries for your flashlights. Oh, and I've got, as I'm talking about this, I've got a little example. Okay, so who's going to be my Vanna White here? So a weather radio is very important to have because that's going to give you notice about tornadoes that tend to spawn off of hurricanes, and have one that's battery powered so if the power goes out, you can still listen to it. Canned foods, can opener if you don't have, you know, ones that have the pull tab. Battery powered fan is very helpful whether you're in a shelter or someone else's home, because even the power can go out in general shelters if the generator doesn't kick in. So this will be a lifesaver, especially if we have a storm in the middle of August. It gets hot, right? As we know, we're still taking extra safety precautions, as will the shelters. The shelters are putting into consideration social distancing and safety measures, but having hand sanitizer, baby wipes are great for storms. If you lose your water and you need to wipe your hands and your face, and baby wipes are awesome, especially when you have toddlers like I do. Toiletries, shampoo, toothbrush, toothpaste, cash. I know I've got some fake money in here that I always show. Having cash in small denominations, because if a credit card machine's not going to be working and you need to make purchases, having cash handy. And then having a list of important phone numbers. Your phone number list is good because if your phone dies, your cell phone dies, and you can't remember a phone number of a friend or a loved one, then you'll have it written down. Because I don't know my sister's phone number by heart. I just call her. I say, oh, Destiny, there she is, and I click her name. So I should probably know it, but I don't. So having a list of written out phone numbers.
Now it's going to get feedback because of
Okay.
the
Is that?
Turn it down a little
Is everyone awake now?
bit. You're
Good? I'm scared. Okay. Oh, that's better. All right. So where was I? Oh, phone numbers. Yes. So in case your phone dies and you need to know what their number is to call. Talking about important phone numbers, something really important to have in place before the storm hits is a family communications plan. Sorry, this is trying to
Maybe
make
you were
sure.
doing better before we get here.
What do you think? Should I not? Okay. I'm sorry. I appreciate you trying. Okay, can I give this to you? All right. A family communications plan is important because if you have family and friends that are out of state, they're going to worry about you. They're going to want to know where are you staying, and they're going to want to talk to you after the storm. And I know firsthand, I worked during Hurricane Irma, and I had family members calling me from New York, from Michigan, from Canada, saying, you have to go find my loved one. They're in so-and-so, manufactured home community. You need to get them out. I don't know where they are. This was before the storm. So letting your loved ones know, pick just one person. They can be the liaison to all the rest of your family and friends. Say, hey, I'm staying at the so-and-so hotel. I will call you when the storm has passed. Let them know it could be a few days after the storm has passed. My family lives in Panama City, and they went through Hurricane Michael, and I talked to them up to the point of my mom said, all right, trees are falling down all around us. We got to get in the hallway. Love you. Bye. And then I didn't hear from them for 24 hours. So it was scary, but it's because Verizon lost all of their cell towers. And so no one had service. Even if they had power, no one had service. So just give your loved ones, let them know that it could be a little while before you're able to reach them, even post-storm. Speaking of communication, we talked about building our kits. There's also information on a preparedness kit for your pets. And it talks about special needs kits as well. So when we're talking about, you know, medical equipment, batteries for your hearing aids, any type of bandages or medical equipment that you need, have those ready to bring with you as well. And talking about communication, staying informed is one thing that we have here in Pinellas County. It's called Alert Pinellas, and everyone should have, it's a small card, but it's also on your guide. On the last page, there's a long list of numbers, and one of the top names up there says Alert Pinellas. That's an emergency notification system that sends you text messages, emails, and phone calls, depending on what you want, and it lets you know about the upcoming storms. They let me know the other day that there was a severe thunderstorm warning. So it lets you know about weather, and especially if we have a hurricane on its way, it's going to send you text messages with great information. So in addition to that, we talked about things to bring with you, having your important documents in a sealed bag, your social security card, your insurance card, your birth certificates, marriage certificates. Those types of important documents are good to bring with you as well. And then for insurance purposes, take photos of your property before the storm. And then after, once it's safe and you're able to go back, taking photos afterwards. We've talked to insurance providers that have said if they have pictures of the items in your home before the storm, it helps to expedite those claims with photos. It's easier for them to go to those first and process those. You should also, in your kit, have something that has a yellow dot on it. And I've got an example here. So this is also something you could take with you to a shelter, but this is also for other times too, for all year long, not just hurricane season. If you don't have one, let me know. I can bring some more and we can leave them in the clubhouse. This is a new program that Pinellas County has come up with, and actually one of our PD officers, Joel Quattlebaum, our senior services officer, he helped to implement this in Pinellas County. It's called the Yellow Dot and Vial of Life. So if you have a medical emergency and first responders need to help you in that emergency, but you can't speak for yourself, then they can see this Vial of Life sticker on your door. You put this yellow sticker that says Vial of Life on your door, and then you have the medical information pamphlet in a baggie and tape it to your refrigerator. First responders will look for this. They're trained to find this in the event of an emergency. It talks about your prescriptions, your hospital preferences. If someone has a DNR, the yellow signed paper, they can put that with it, and first responders know to look for this. You can also put one that says yellow dot and it's reflective. This one goes on the back of your car, and then another pamphlet goes in your glove compartment. So if you get into a car accident, first responders can find your information. So if you've heard of the Vial of Life where you used to put it in the refrigerator, this is new. It's the updated version, so our firefighters aren't looking through, all your food and trying to eat your snacks. They're just grabbing your medical information on the front of the refrigerator. So something else that you can take with you in the event of a storm to a shelter. So I know it's a lot of information. Take some time to read over that hurricane guide. It really does have everything you need to know. Before we turn it over to Officer Tran, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Officer Tran now, and then if y'all have any questions for us, we'll answer y'all's questions when we're all done. Oh, you did it. Okay. Then I'll make sure you have this one. And if other people didn't get it, I'm going to bring some more of these, and then we'll leave them in the clubhouse, and then you can stop by and pick some up. We'll put them wherever your general information goes. I'll make sure those get dropped off early next week. We'll do that. So without further ado, I will now turn it over to Officer Tran. He's going to talk about some safety and security when it comes to hurricane preparedness.
Good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm Officer Tran. I'm with the PD for 17 years. Actually hitting 18 years in August, coming up soon. So this is part of my community services that I do in my position right now. So in the hurricane, Summer did a very good job covering all of that. but there's just a little stuff on the police side that I want to, piggyback on her. So for the mandatory evacuation, if you guys know that if it's mandatory, you have to evacuate. It is a crime if you don't evacuate. Now, do we actually go in and put handcuff on you? Probably not, right? But it's recommended, especially for community like yourself, to evacuate. Now, when you evacuate, you definitely want to secure your home, right? Rest assured, when that comes, we do have 12-hour shift, meaning officers on 12 hours constantly. We rotate, right? We know that this type of community will need extra patrol, so we have officer patrol in here constantly, getting the patrol out in your community, so that if anybody is trying to, lurking around, trying to do anything that they shouldn't be doing, hopefully the Mark Cruiser can scare them off. But securing your home is also important. There's things that you can do within your home. Now, some mobile home has hurricane shutter, correct? While some doesn't. Who has the hurricane shutters in their home? Okay, good. You know you can secure that, right, with your windows and all that. In addition to that, what I have, some of you may not have this, but I'll leave this here. If you look on the bottom of this page, on the one that I gave this out, it's called a window security screw or lock. What it does is, if it's a slide window, if you have a slide window, up or down or sideways, you get this from Home Depot. It's very inexpensive. You put it on a track where the windows go up and down. Okay, so in addition to your manufacturer lock on the windows, you buy this, clamped it on there. So if someone was to break in your windows, if they want to lift it up, a lot of time the manufacturer lock is not as good. So this is serve as a secondary lock. Okay, so I'll leave this here. If you have a sliding doors, in your mobile home, please get one of those pins, put it in there. Okay, if someone can help you, if you don't have it, get one of those pins, put it in there, right? It's gonna help minimize the burglar breaking into your home. Yeah, if someone's really want to break into your home, can they shatter the glass? Yes, they can, right? But we don't want to make it easy for them. Let's make it a little bit harder, okay? So put that in there. On your front door, a lot of your deadbolt, if you go home, take a look at your deadbolt. It should stick out about 1 inch, okay? And your strike plate, where the deadbolt go in, if you still have a manufacturer screw, you might want to take that out. Replace it with a 3-inch screw, okay? And what it does is it'll go through the stud, it go through the frame, secure your door a little bit better. So those are the little stuff that you can do to protect your home while you're gone, right? Now, in the shelter, you can stay up, like Irma, I think at least 3 days, 3 or 4 days. Lighting. Well, when the power go out, there's no lighting in your home. But with the new inventions, we have what we call solar lighting. We don't need electric. Get one of these. Screw them onto your carport or the front of your entrance. Okay? A lot of time, maybe if you have a covered carport, it may not pick up a whole lot of lighting, but if you put it over the top of your carport as you enter, it will pick up all that sunlight. At night, it will illuminate for you. Okay? While you're at the shelter or at someone's house or at the hotel. But it helps us, if all of these lights are out and your lights are lighting up all the street, it helps us to patrol the area. It looks better versus it's completely darkness and we can't see anything. So get these, okay? In addition to, I also recommend that you get the one that's portable as well, because let's say if you go home from the shelter and the power's still out, you don't have any light in your home, because the power sometimes takes 5 days to 6 days or maybe a week. Well, you're going to be in your home at night not having anything. Oh yeah, you can have your flashlight. That's good, right? But if you have a solar, you leave it outside, at night you bring it in, you illuminate in your home. Okay, so we want that illumination, especially when everything is out. It's to keep the bad guy out, okay? So when we in here, it helps us seeing your house a little bit better, right? So keep that. Now they have what they call an E-bulb, your regular traditional light bulb. Okay, they have one of those. It's good in a sense, but it needs to be charged by electricity. You know, it's good up to maybe 3 to 6 hours, just in, you know, like maybe like a storm surge and your power out, and you can have that to illuminate your house versus candles. You guys know candles can be not as good, right? If you're not paying attention to it, you can burn your place down, especially in manufactured home like this. So the E-bulb is good, but I like the solar because now I don't need to rely on the electric at all, especially knowing that the hurricane is coming, and if it's hit here, all the power line, it could go out for days. So take that, put that in your home, mount it in your home, okay? Just imagine if every one of you have this mounted on your carport, and this is pitch black because there's no power at night. This will lit up. Even though, yeah, you know, the cloud and all that, it may not pick up a whole lot of solar, but once the cloud's clear, guess what? The sun's going to come out, right? It's going to pick up that energy and provide the light that needed in your neighborhood. All right? She mentioned cash. Please get cash with you in a small amount, but don't put it in one area of your pocket. You maybe want to have a cargo box pocket, multiple pockets somewhere, and put like a $20 here, you know, $20 here, a back pocket with button, $20 here. So it's not all in one place, and if you lose, you pull something out and you drop your money, you only drop $20 versus a watt of cash, right? Because in the shelter, I don't know who's gonna go to the shelter, but I've been in Irma shelter. It's not pretty. We're definitely gonna be a little bit stricter than before. Because Irma, we were letting people bring a lot of stuff in that shouldn't be bringing in, like their couch, and I'm talking about the lady chair. Because they say, I have medical issue. Well, rightfully so, because the gentlemen have a cane and all of that. Oh, this chair helped me with my back, blah, blah, blah. So we let them in, but then we're not, no more. We're not going to bring in a queen size blow up mattress. If anything, it will be just a regular single side. Now I recommend that, okay? Because a lot of people are smart. They went in to buy one of that blow up single, and they can use it because it's just going to be a 6-foot area, and we're going to do our best trying to monitor that because it get out of control when Irma hit. So there's a lot of people around you, and if you have valuable property and you're not careful about it, there's going to be people that have a 5-finger tendency in stealing stuff. So all of your valuables, your jewelry, anything like that, I recommend that if you have a safety deposit box, please put that in there. Okay? If you have them. If you don't have them, all of that, please take them, secure your car in a locked trunk or your glove compartment. But if you have the security deposit, that would be my first thing to go. Now, your birth certificate, your social security, your social security number, you should know that by heart. You shouldn't be carrying all that with you. Just keep it in your car. You don't need to bring it to the shelter. There's no reason for you doing that. All you need is a light driver license, because you're going to need that, just in case if we do a checkpoint. You're going to need your driver license, your insurance card, and maybe a credit card or a debit card. So 4 cards. Put it in something like this. Okay, that's all I carry. Right? I know a lot of women carry purses and all that, but leave your purses in your trunk of the car if you're in the shelter. Okay, because you don't need that. Just have your ID, and if you're with your spouse, and have him carry that credit card and your driver license. That's it. That's all you need. So if you're going to lose something, guess what? That's all you're going to lose versus you lose your whole entire bag. Okay? With that being said, just rest assured that we will patrol your area constantly before and after the storm. Okay? And as she was mentioned, please, 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 please have a communication plan with your family, because that is the number one thing. We get calls a lot during Irma. Can you please check on my mom? can you please check on my sister? So if you contact them, say, hey, I'll be staying at the shelter, and I will call you when it's all clear. So they don't call, it's tied us up when we have officer have to go do that welfare check. And sometimes we go here knowing that they're not going to be here. We don't know where you're at. So we don't have a way of saying, well, I can't locate your mom or your sister and so on and so forth. All right? In addition to phone, she mentioned the phone because the powers are out, right? Now in the shelter, a lot of places when you have power, you can charge your phone, but when there's no power, like Largo High School, when Irma hit, there was no power for a period of time. You can't charge your phone. They do sell one of those portable battery charger for your cell phone. Maybe have one of those. Always keep it charged while there's still electricity, and don't use it. And then when you're out of it, you can use that. Okay, it's a form of communication because your family's gonna call you. Other than that, it's just common sense. Okay, please keep it simple. Don't make it more complicated than it should. Lock your doors. Secure it with the 3-inch screw that I mentioned. Get this light. It's very useful because it's the hurricane. Don't get the one that you're just gonna tape it on. It'll fall off. Get the one that you're actually gonna mount it on with the screw. Okay, so that it stay there. Now, if a storm hit this Largo, chances are a lot of home will not gonna be here. Like, knock on wood. Let's not make that's not gonna. Hope for that it's not gonna happen. But rest assured, we will, as a PD, we will maintain order in our city, just like what we did back in Irma. We were out patrolling a lot. Businesses and community like yourself.
Solar lights.
I'm sorry?
Solar lights? That place is Home Depot maybe? Or
Yeah, be solar light. You can,
Free too.
Home Depot, Lowe's. Now, if you're going to do this, please look at the reviews, okay? Go in there and look at the reviews. You want to get the one that give you the best lighting because there are some that go out quicker than others. And, just spend just a little bit more. But you get the best bang out of your box, okay? You have a question?
My husband's very sick, and I take care of him here. But if there was gonna be a bad storm coming, I know I could get him to the car and get him to wherever, but if he really needs 24-hour, he really needs a lot of care. Would I make arrangements with a nursing home or something out of the zone?
So, I would start with special needs shelter, and so they can talk you through what type of care he's getting and what kind of care he needs. Because the special needs shelter have Florida Department of Health nursing staff on site, and there's paramedics on site. And so that type of shelter is there to assist those that need that extra care.
He can't stand or walk, so he's lift chair bed, that's it, lift chair bed.
Yeah, and that's, we can assist with those types of things. If we need to transport people in a stretcher or wheelchair or those types of transportation issues, we can help with that for assistance. And so a special needs shelter, that number that we gave out, give them a call and let them know. And you can go with him to the special needs shelter as the caregiver as well. So. And then, sorry, when I get the question, I just wanted to mention before I forget, when we're talking about the lighting, is, with the candles, really not recommended to use the candles because we did see we saw a fire during Irma in the middle of the storm from a candle, and we could not respond because the winds were too high.
45.
Fire department and the police have to shut down services until those winds die back down. So flashlights, battery power. Sorry.
Your outside solar lights, you can bring them in the evening.
Yeah, you can. So the one that you put in your carport, you screw them, leave it there. But there's the one that you can. It has a kind of like a like glue type of material that you can just stick on. It'll stick for a while, then it'll fall off. Get those one, but don't just carry it around. Leave it outside. Let it get the sunlight. At night you bring it in. It will illuminate. You'd be surprised. It's really bright.
You had a question?
Yeah, when it comes to pets, do you need a carrier for, like I have a dog and a cat. Do you need a carrier for each pet?
Yes, that's
You do.
preferred for the shelters. Yes.
I didn't know if they could, you you know, like our dog could be with me? Or,
So for the pet-friendly shelters, you're still not going to physically like sleep with your pet. Your pets will be in a separate area of the shelter. They'll be in the same, you know, facility, but just not physically with you during that time. Yeah, so good question.
Is this building here not safe to be in?
Not for a storm, no. For a hurricane, none of the, and we have, you know, nearly 100 manufactured homes here in Largo and throughout the county, and none of the community centers are rated to be able to withstand the winds of a hurricane. Now, post-storm, you know, you can talk amongst your community about possibly, I know some parks have provided, you know, had a space for food and water, and if the power was restored to maybe those buildings, people came to charge their phones and, you know, post-storm facility. It's a way that you can kind of use to help residents, but not during the storm. And a lot of communities, you know, they'll make sure it's locked up because they've had residents, you know, try to come to the community centers for shelter, but they're not rated for hurricanes. But good question.
Where do you get that radio? The battery radio?
The weather radio?
Yeah, but
So,
where do you get that?
yeah, you can get that at any of your, you know, main manufactured stores like a Walmart, Target, Home Depot and Lowe's, I believe, has them as well. Online, Amazon, I know, has a lot of different choices. They have ones that you can crank that are solar powered and ones that are, you know, battery and both plug-in.
Is one better than the other that you know of?
No, we just recommend that it's the NOAA weather radio, which all of them usually are if it's a weather. But I would just say if you're going to get one, make sure it's one that is going to be battery powered that you can use if the storm, you know, puts out the electricity. And then I don't think I mentioned medications as far as supplies. If the governor declares a state of emergency, all medications, even if you've already gotten a prescription, you can go back and get 2 weeks worth of your medications. That way, you know, if we have a big storm come through and in Walgreens and all your pharmacies are closed, you'll have your medication. So you can get that supply again. So make sure you're all stocked up on that as well.
One thing that I ran across years ago, and I know I never used to have a charger for my car because I never really went anywhere. But in a storm when we lost the power, it was the only way that we could keep our phones charged. And it was just, you know, my brother-in-law was important. He had a job. He had to stay connected with his people. And it was just, it was eye-opening for me to, okay, I'm going to always have a car charger.
Yeah, that's a great
because,
idea.
you know, nowadays hardly anybody has home phones and landlines. So,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, if you don't have a car charger, I would definitely recommend getting one.
Yeah. Newer car have just a straight USB, but if you have one of the older version, definitely get one of those charger. You're absolutely right. Totally
And
right
then-
about
It
that.
was a good thing.
And
Well,
with that,
some of the radios you buy now, because I just bought a new radio.
USB
has
charge.
chargers
Yeah.
built
Yep.
into them, so you can charge your phone directly from your radio.
Yep.
and then of course making sure your cars are filled up with gas and trying to get that ahead of the storm and putting them in, if you're, you know, getting gas for any reason in a receptacle, having them in the proper ones. I know we saw that with the gas shortage. Some people putting them in plastic bags and just making sure you're getting your gas ahead of time, and also generators. So if you're planning on, you know, let's say post-storm, your power's out, but your home, you're still able to come back to your home and you're using a generator, just follow all the manufacturer guidelines on those. And the big thing is to have a carbon monoxide detector. Even though your generator is outdoors, remember you don't want to have it indoors in any carport. It needs to be out, completely outside, no open windows. But carbon monoxide detector if you have one, because I know I think it was Irma in Orlando. There were some deaths from carbon monoxide poisoning for use of generators. So just be careful with those. And then smoke alarms. Make sure you have your smoke alarms checked. I think I'm coming back for fire safety in October, but we have a free smoke alarm program. And make sure your smoke alarms are working. And you know, post-storm, when the power's out, we had a lot of fires with Irma because people were putting items on their stovetops because the power was out, and they didn't think about, you know, oh, I just put my pizza box on there, or my trash can lid. And then when the power was restored, some of them still had burners on, or the oven just turned, the stovetop just turned on, and I think we had like 6 or 7 stovetop fires from that. So just keeping your stovetops clear.
Suggestion for tornadoes for mobile homes, because all it says is leave your mobile home. Well, that's not really good either.
Right. So tornadoes are, they're not much warning.
Yeah.
You don't have much warning. If you have Alert Pinellas, that's a good start because that's going to give you a tornado warning on your phone. So what they say, and I don't like this answer, and it's from Pinellas County Emergency Management, they say find a low-lying ditch area and duck and cover. Or if you get that warning or you get a tornado watch, maybe you get just the watch, which the difference between the watch and the warning, the watch means that conditions are favorable for a tornado, whereas a warning means that one has been spotted. But if you get a tornado watch, on your phone or a notification, you could always take that moment to try to get to a sturdier building, designate somewhere nearby that you would maybe drive to the Walgreens right down the street and stay there until the watch or warning has passed.
Tornado wants me to go outside to see if we can see.
Yes, I like.
But if it's a warning, it means one's been spotted in your area. And I know I wish I had, it's one of the education pieces that I wish I could give more on, but it's really, even from the county, they say just find a low-lying area or a ditch, and they say duck and cover. And I mean, if you're in your mobile home and the warning, and you see the tornado or it's out there and you don't have time to run around, just duck and cover. I know, I don't.
Yeah, we live at sea level.
Yeah.
Not a lot of low area.
I know, it's duck
Yeah.
and cover, what they say. There you go, yeah. But Alert Pinellas is helpful to give you those warnings, so.
But
Any other
overall, I just want to say, think you for having us, but just, be aware of your surroundings, especially when you're in the shelter. If you're gonna, if I was to pick a place in the shelter, I'll pick a corner where I know that's the wall, behind me is the wall. So the only thing I need to worry is what's in front of me and what's next to me.
And there really isn't a lot of space, like he said. You've got about the size of one of these tables, right? Is that about it?
It's a 6 foot, allegedly, but you never know.
Is that per person?
Yeah, per.
Okay,
yeah.
so if two people are there, you
Yeah.
both are having a 6 foot.
So a lot of people were bringing, and maybe you saw this, I know some people were suggesting bringing, lawn chairs, and it's not comfortable, but it's like the folding. Sometimes they have some nice anti-gravity, lawn chairs nowadays, bringing that to sleep in. Because you just don't have a lot of space, or your twin size air mattresses, some bedding. So there's definitely a good list in your guide for if you're evacuating, what to bring with you.
Okay.
Any other questions for us? All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed, a quiet season. Thank you.
I'll leave this up here, so just in case you guys want to take them. But don't just buy that brand, please. Just go look at and I just pull it up on the internet and say that's.
What kind of
Before
price?
everybody leaves,
What kind of
remember we
price
have
are
several channels to get information
They
to
run
you now.
anywhere.
Channel 732 has been
Depend on-
updated on your cable network. We also have the Paradise Island Largo Facebook page has been updated, and our regular Paradise Island Largo website